Hello there everyone, it's Carol from the Crafty Emporium. I want to bring you a tutorial today on what I'm calling my happy accident. So basically I made these all through a very happy accident that I made. So I'm just going to push these to one side for now and I'll show you them up closer once I've finished the tutorial. So as you can see, I had quite good fun playing with this. So basically what happened was I'd got my stencil and it needed a bit of a clean. And so I'd got some printed papers because I didn't want to clean it off on top of my mat. So I'd got some printed papers, placed it on top, did what I did. Voila! I ended up with my my little pieces of ephemera over there. So I'm going to go through it with you to show you what I actually did. So basically, if you think about it, how many times do you print stuff off your computer, whatever, and it ends up being a really rubbish print and you end up scrunching it up, throwing it away? Well, apparently this is what you can do with them now. So I've printed off this image here. And it works better if it's a darker image. It doesn't have to be any kind of a pattern. It can be solid black. It works just as well with solid black. So, you know, sometimes again you get, when you print stuff off and your printer inks are just starting to run out and you get lines and you're like, ugh. So you end up throwing it away. Well, you can use this technique with it. So I've printed off this. It needs to be darker and you need a stencil and you need some baby wipes. Now then, I've tried it on all sorts of different surfaces. I've tried it with all sorts of different types of papers and it works better if it's printed out onto just cheap copy paper. So if you have the paper too thick, it won't work. So it needs to be thin copy paper, all right? So I'm going to decorate this envelope up using this technique. And so basically what I did was I cut it down to the size that I need it to be. I'll just trim this bit off and then I want it that sort of width. And this sort of height. And I've just cut it out roughly. Okay, get rid of you. Now you can use washi tape or masking tape to hold your image down if you so wish. So what I did was I turned it over, and it doesn't matter about the pattern at all because you don't really see the pattern. So I'm just going to hold that down with some washi tape. And then I'm going to put my stencil on top. And then I'm just going to hold that down with some washi tape too. So, put that there. And put that there. Okay, so with my baby wipe, and I'm just starting to run out, so I'm kind of hoping that these are going to be damp enough. So it doesn't want to be wet, it needs to be damp. All right, and then you just rub it over the top. So can you see it's already changing? And as I say, if you have it too wet, it won't work. It just ends up bleeding too much. And this was through an inkjet printer as well. So it's not a laser printer copy, it's an inkjet printer copy, which means that the ink is not fast on the paper, which means that if you spray any kind of liquid on it, it will just blur the image that you've printed, whereas a laser jet printer will make the image stay fast on the paper. Okay, so I have to keep moving my baby wipe around. Now the knack is not to rub it too much, which is what I've just done there. I've just started lifting the top of the paper off and I don't want to do that, so I'm just gently wiping it over the top, but making sure that enough of the liquid or enough of the dampness of the baby wipe is going through the stencil itself. So you can see it changing colour, can't you? So yeah, I've definitely lifted too much off. Okay, so it's a great way of cleaning all your stencils actually. So if you've got some mucky stencils, because that's the other thing, is if you've got ink or paint on your stencils, as you start to rub it, that will actually go into the stencil area as well. Okay, so I can now take off these bits of washi tape and take off the stencil, so you can see how the ink has started to come through the actual image. In fact, I'm going to try and place it back on, because I just want to do a little bit more over here. If I can. So it's just little areas that I've missed. Okay, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, fingers crossed. See if I now pull this off. And you see it's transferred some of the ink onto the envelope. So I actually get a double whammy with this, because it's transferred some of the ink onto the envelope, but it's also, I've got this image here on the back. So once this dries, I can actually utilise this as well. And then that means that I'm not throwing away all my scraps of paper. So as I say, it doesn't have to be a great image on the back. It can be a real rubbish image, but the darker the image the better, because the inks come out more colourful. But it gives it a slightly watercolour look about it. Okay, and that's it. That's all there is to it. So I'll just show you what I made whilst I was having a play. So this was a paper that I rubbed it over, and then it was this bit. So I cut it up and put it onto a tag, and then inked it up, did some stamping on it, added my bit of fluff at the top, inked up the edges, did a faux stitch on it. How lovely is that? So pretty. This one was an index card, and again it was this bit of paper, not the transfer, but you can see how it gives it that lovely watercolour effect. And again, I decorated it up, did some faux stitching around there, did some stamping, added some of my Tim Holtz words, little bow at the top, a little dangly charm, put some lace on it, and I've got a bit of a journaling card. This one was an envelope. So again, the image didn't transfer as brightly, but it gave a lovely subtle background to it. And then I've just decorated it up with some layers of lace and beads on the bottom, did a little bit of stamping, ripped up some music paper, put a stamp on. Lovely pretty envelope. This one was an index card, which I'd coffee dyed, and it transferred the ink onto the index card, as you can see. And this is an example of where you get two for the price of one. So that was the image as it transferred, and then that was the bit of paper where it transferred onto the back. So I've got those two lovely envelopes there, but you can see, if I put it up close, that it's just started lifting the paper here a little bit, where I rubbed it just a little bit too hard. But it doesn't deter from the image itself. I tried it on some brown paper, and I didn't like it quite so much, so I think it works better on like a coffee dyed colour background. But just stuck a label flower on it, put some words on it, did a little bit of stamping. But that's pretty enough, isn't it? And then this one was the original piece of paper, and so as I wet it, obviously the ink transferred through to the top, and then I folded it up to make an envelope. And if you have a look inside, Can you see? Look, so there's the image of the lady that I printed off. So as you can see, it was mostly green and a bit of pink at the top, and that's how it came out. And so what I'll do is I'll dry this one off and I'll cut it out and I'll stick it onto an envelope, and then I'll decorate this one up, and I've got 2 more pieces of ephemera to add to my stash. But that was basically it. A stencil, some baby wipes, and a rubbish printed piece of paper onto some copy paper. How simple and effective was that? Really quick and easy. I hope you'll have a go. It'll be interesting to see what results you come up with. But yeah, quite enjoyed doing that. My nice happy little accident. Okay, I'm going. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed that little technique. I certainly did. See you later. Bye.